This conference will now be recorded.
Yes. So question is very simple. What is DevOps? So first we'll understand what is DevOps, and then we'll see that why DevOps we have, what are the advantage benefits what DevOps is giving to not us but organizations, software organizations. What exactly we are trying to achieve through the DevOps. And then followed by, we'll also discuss about what is DevSecOps and what is a SRE and stuff like that at the high level. We'll have a SRE separate session also. I mean, when I say separate session means SRE conceptual sessions will be separate. DevSecOps also conceptual sessions will be separate. But overall, first we'll try to understand the DevOps and then get going. So in order to understand the DevOps, you'll have to go in the past, okay? And you need to understand that how we were doing the software development and how we were running the software applications and so on. So if you look at these are the three parameters which I have opted for it. 1990s, 2000 and 2020. Okay, so if you remember that in 1990s we were running application in desktop. By the way, still we are running application in desktop, but don't think in terms of software engineers. Think in terms of let's say your family, maybe they are using WhatsApp. Now where the WhatsApp is running, so it's running somewhere in a data center, right? So like that, think in that context. So earlier the software we were running in a desktop, okay, and how much used to take time. Let's say if you want to buy hardware plus operating system plus applications and all these things together, if you want to set it up, might take 1 day or something. How we were consuming it? Console means Windows console, Linux console, and all. You had it, and then. So how do we used to do the CDs delivery? I mean, how you used to do the release? So the format of the release, like you used to do that CDs. In fact, I have used floppy disk. In fact, I don't know how many of you have used it. So I have seen the floppy disk. After that, we got CDs, and we started delivering the software in CDs. So at that time, when we were having the platform like desktop, setup time used to take 1 day, consumptions console based, delivery in CDs. So if you talk about the software development release cycle, at that time, if you remember, you must be using Photoshop, Flash, Windows, MS Office, Microsoft MS Office, right? All this software. So how much time they used to take for the releasing the software? So if you remember correctly, they used to take at least 1 year for releasing the software, at least 1 year. Okay. So, and in this 1 year, they will plan for it, they will code for it, they will test for it, everything they will do that, and then they will release. And at that time, what was the architecture of the software? Monolithic. What is a monolithic then? That means all the features you put it in one software, one exe file, and then that you deliver it. Something like MS Office, if you installed in your desktop, that's a monolithic, because there is one package which you just simply install it, and every features which you get it, thousands of features we have, bold, italic, justification, this, that, and all kind of things. How all the features you have in one software only. So if you look at this here, a monolithic, if you have hundreds and thousands of features, and if there is a change in the one feature, that means you have to build every software monolithic, entire product. You have to test also entire product, something like that. Are you able to correlate all of you?
Yeah, yes, Rajesh.
So at that time, before 1990s, I will tell you, the software development used to take 5 years, 6 years also. Yes, that's true. Before 1990s. So if you go and ask that security services, no, or like so earlier the software development used to happen only for the defense industry and all this stuff. So they will take 5 years, 6 years, 7 years to develop a software. And by the time the software is out, probably that is out of context. So in 1990s, somewhere around, then scientists like software engineers and software scientists came together and said like that, let's do one thing. Let's create some model for software development. So they introduce one of the model which is very popular is waterfall model. All of you are comfortable with the waterfall model? Yeah.
Yeah.
So why we
Yeah,
had a
yeah.
waterfall model? Why we had a waterfall model? Because you know what? In waterfall model, what scientists decided, we'll follow this model because we want to do the release which we were doing earlier for 5 years. We want to reduce to 1 year. See, and then they started doing the software development in the monolithic way. So before a waterfall model, also there were network model, hierarchical model, many models were there. But ultimately we decided waterfall model for software development. So this is the software development. So in a software development, waterfall model, what happens? The durations may be 6 months or 1 year, but first we do the requirement analysis and then close the requirement. After that, we design that and then close the design. Then after that, we code for it, and then close the coding. Then we do the verification and then maintenance. So this was the waterfall model. So because we do the linear approach, it's like a sequence one by one. One we complete and then move to the second one. Because of that, it used to take a 1 year time. Okay. So in this waterfall model, we work on all the feature in one go only. So the question is why we opted for the new model altogether, and the reason is very simple. At that time in 1990s, we wanted to improve the quality release of the software. We wanted to improve the quality of the software. We want to reduce the release time also. That means from 5 years to 1 year we got it. And then same time we wanted to reduce the cost reduction in development and runtime also. So waterfall model was very popular model, by the way. In fact, Microsoft practiced so many times, so many years actually. So it was a very good and effective model. So that was good. So are you comfortable so far, all of you?
Yes.
But you know, guys, suddenly then we got the internet. Internet. And when we got the internet, you know that what has started happening. So when we got the internet, then software which was earlier console based means laptop, desktop, or whatever it is, now it's become a browser based. Okay, so we started running a software on the browser. Accessing the software in the browser. So many changes has happened because of that. So many scientists started thinking about how to reduce the data center cost. See, at that time when there were no internet, you were happy with a desktop. Each offices there will be 4-5 desktop locally installed, and then can use the software, no problem. But when you started running software which can be accessible through the browser, so software has to run in a data center, correct? So there was huge requirement for running the desktop. I mean, I'll not get into that discussion why we migrated to desktop to virtual server, but overall we wanted to reduce the software running cost actually. Okay, because desktop were very costly, but virtual servers were very cheaper compared to that. How, where, why? This architecture discussions I will avoid it, but those who have a curiosity, you can just read some of the articles, blogs, and videos. So you will get to know. So we migrated from the desktop to virtual server to reduce the cost and setup time. So when we migrated to the virtual server, now we were able to set up application in 5 minutes. So what you will do that you'll create a VM, one virtual machines, and some of the software will be installed, and then within the 5 minutes software is ready. You don't have to worry about your hardware, this, that, and all. Backend you don't have to worry about it. And this server, the application which we are running in the virtual server, we were accessing through the browser. And how do we deliver the software? So we used to allow that download, upload, this, that, and all. And you know what? See, think simple. Let's say if you are, how many of you use Orkut? Simple logic I'll use. Or could anyone, one of you?
Yeah.
I don't know the age group of this batch actually. So I'm considering myself at the youngest one right now. So yeah, so Orkut, I have used the Orkut a lot actually. Trust me, I spend many hours every day, office hours for Orkuting actually. Free internet, free laptop, so Orkuting. Now they see if there is a problem in the Orkut, then it will impact millions of people, everyone, right? So it's not like let's say you are using MS Office in your laptop. So if there is a problem, there is a issues in the MS Office, then only you are getting impacted. No, it's not like that. Other people not get impacted. So because when you complain to Microsoft saying that hey, I have some issues in my MS Office, this particular version, so they'll say okay, no problem, continue using it. This feature is just avoid for 6 months. I'll do the patching and all and stuff like that. So why Microsoft said like that? Because they know that not all of their customers are impacted. Only some of the customers are impacted. But in an Orkut situation, if Orkut has some problem, and this we all are using the same software, so it will impact the millions of users, right? It will impact everyone, in fact. Correct now? So you cannot say, hey, I'll fix it after 6 months. By the time Orkut will be closed actually. So what scientists said, hey, because we are using application based on the browser and everyone is connected to the same software, so you have to improve the quality of the software. Okay, and we have to reduce the release cycle also. And that is where then they started talking about, okay, let's do one thing. We'll release the software every 2 weeks. Okay, then suddenly, earlier you were following the release cycle 1 year, then you have to reduce to 2 weeks. So then engineers started fighting about it, saying that, hey, how come you are saying we will release in 2 weeks? Because there are thousands of features are there. Each feature you change one code and then you will have to build entire code, then test entire code and then deploy entire code. It might take a hell lot of times. So then architecture said, okay, do one thing. Don't run in a monolithic way. Change the architecture of the software itself. And then we change the architecture of the software, which is called SOA, service oriented architecture. That means multiple web server, app server, database server, all these things will be in a different locations. So module by, so troubleshooting and upgrading, downgrading and all this thing will be easier. Then release cycle is becoming 2 weeks now, and we didn't started focusing on everything. Let's say there is 1,000 features, so these 2 weeks will focus only on the 10 features. It can be bug fixes or releases. So we are not doing everything. Earlier in 1 year we were doing thousands of feature work, but in 2 weeks now we'll do 10, 20, whatever it is. So this is we migrated, we change ourselves, we change, platform got changed from virtual server, browser, console got changed to browser, release cycle got changed, architecture we had to change, because we have to change. If you don't change, then you will still be in a new event. So you have to change. So then scientists started talking about, okay, so this new situation, what would we call? Because earlier model we call the waterfall model. So what would we call? So they started saying that, hey, we'll call agile model. Agile means frequent changes, frequent feedback and all and stuff like that. You know what, guys? In agile model, see, earlier in a waterfall model, if you look at it, it's very important statement I'm making right now. In a waterfall model, there were multiple teams. Product is only one, but multiple teams. For example, architect team will be sitting separately, development will be separately, testing will be separately, operations will be separately. Every teams will, you see, there is one objective, but for achieving there is an objective, there is a multiple teams are there. So that was a problem. So, but in Agile, what we did actually, something unique we did. We said, let's do one thing. Let's merge this architect team, dev team, and QA team together. They let them work together as part of Agile practices. So, if you see that Agile meeting, I think some of you might have attended. So, they attend in that Agile meeting. Architect also attend this meeting, development also, and testing people also attend this meeting. Okay, not the operation but testing team also, and they'll work together for any issues arise for the 2 weeks.
the whatever the backlogs work you have for that. So this was a transition from the waterfall to agile. Correct now? All of you are comfortable so far?
Yeah.
Now, this is the agile picture. Those who are having no idea about agile, please spend some time. It's a very important concept. Still, many of the products they are using actually. Okay. So there's one Scrum Master, sprint planning maybe for 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 weeks. Different team will work together, development team, QA team, and all, and like that. Now, why we migrated to agile? I think reason same reason actually. We are having same reason to survive. We just change the label actually. So earlier we had a same reason, we call the waterfall model. Then now also we have a same reason, and now we call agile. Only the context got changed. Make sense? So same reason, quality release of the software we wanted to focus, so we moved to agile. We want to reduce the immediate release and the cost reduction in dev and runtime, development and runtime. Then guys, the boom started happening on the internet, and you know that very well. This I don't have to teach you what exactly is happening in the current world. So nowadays everything we have on internet, everything. 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G. I think 5G also got introduced in the Bangalore by Airtel, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, so now we all are consuming internet so heavily. Every devices we are using having internet. Fridge you have internet, washing machine you have internet, AC we have internet, security system of your home or offices you have internet, mobile device you have internet, laptop anyways you have internet. So everything is connected to the internet, and we started using not a browser based. Browser is dying actually. So what we are using now, all of you? App based. Correct? So when you want to do the banking transaction, do you do the browsing or app? App, correct? No?
Yeah.
All of you? So this is something which you know that. So this change has happened. Now the problem for the software engineers is like how to deal with it. See here, the problem is everyone is connected together. Everyone. You are using the same Facebook, what I am using. You are using the same LinkedIn, what I am using. You are using the same WhatsApp, what I am using. You are using the same Twitter, what I am using. Everything we are using the same software actually. It's not like you have a different software, I have a different software. No. Same WhatsApp, same GoToMeeting, so same, everything same. So now the challenges for the organization, software organization, is like, I'll just give you one simple example to visualize this problem. Let's say only for 5 seconds, you are the honest, you've been using the Ola from last 1 year continuously. And only for 5 seconds, if Ola is down and you want to go to the office, and if it is down, what you will do? Tell me. Tell me. Yes, Uber. Will connect to the Uber. So there is no as such like your customers will be attached to you all the time. That's not. You have so many options. SDFC is not working fine. You will immediately withdraw all the money and put it in the different bank. Why to hustle and all? Ola is not working. Uber, Zomato is not working. Swiggy, Paytm is not working. Google Pay, Facebook is not working. Twitter, LinkedIn. Are you seeing that this trend of consumption of the software? So guys, we all are connected. So what is the challenge for the organization? So if you all are connected, the expectations should be from the consumer is like, my software should not be down for 1 second. Okay, 1 second. Then you have to improve the quality of the software. See, focus quality. Your software quality should be in a way, then so there will be less downtime. Cost for software development also should be low. Cost for software runtime also should be low. And speed, you want it. Speed means there is a issues. Of course, there'll be issues all the time. We are human beings, right? So we'll introduce some issues, but we have to fix it now, not in 2 weeks, but much faster, much faster. So this is the today's expectation of all the software organizations from all of us, like software engineers, right? That's the expectations. So the question is very simple. How do we do the quality release of the software? Same reason again. How do we do the more immediate release of the software? And how do we have a cost reductions in the development of the software and runtime on the software? So people started thinking about it in all the areas. They started thinking about it. All the software scientists and all. The current trend is very simple. We have one version of software. Everyone is connected together, and it has to run 24/7 and without even single second of downtime. So that's the expectations which we have. Are you understanding what is the challenge which we have for all of us? Are you, all of you?
Yes.
What is the challenge? So these are the challenge actually. So how do you deal with it? So Agile solve some of the problem of the waterfall model, but today you are dealing with some more different problems actually. How do you deal with it? So look at this. Then we started talking about, hey, let's do one thing. Let's run our software not in a virtual servers. Yes. Then run in a container. Now, what is container? I'll teach you. So now setup time reduced to 1 second. See that? How? That you'll get to know. See that how we are evolving, changing. If you don't change your mindset, I repeat, if you don't change your mindset, then it will be too late for you. Because see, world will not, be will not be with you like you are not ready to change. You have to change your mindset. You have to change your mindset for each and everything actually. Changing. We are designed for the change. So now earlier we were doing the setup in 1 day, then we migrated to 5 minutes. Now you have to do every setups in 1 second. How? That's the questions we'll have to learn. And then how we started consuming the software using application. Then where do we get the software? Stored, we have app stored, play stored and all. And then release cycle probably you might have to do in 1 hour. That means you have to do you have a bugs, you have to do development, you have to testing, and you have to deploy in 1 hour. And I'm not kidding. Then you will say, some of you said, Rajesh, how can we do that in 1 hour? We were doing earlier in 2 weeks. How can we do that? So you have to change the architecture of the system and you have to migrate to microservices. Now, what is a microservices? You need to understand how these microservices will help us to do the reduction in the release cycle of 1 hour. You have to understand that. So here, monolithic, we had hundreds of features developed in 1 year. In SOA, 10 features. And now microservices probably one at a time, one individual and all, one microservices. Are you seeing this change, all of you? Are you visualize that? This is nothing illogical. See, most of the people, if you are thinking DevOps is a big thing, it's a huge thing. No, it's not a big thing. This has come because of some certain problems which we are facing in the software organization for last few years. So we have to solve that problem. We got the solution also, but we don't know how to name that solution. So what we did, we named the solution DevOps. So the DevOps is solving the problem of the previous last 10 years of software development lifecycle. So whatever the challenge you had earlier, you have to solve it through the new process of DevOps. It's an improvement, gradual improvement program. Make sense, all of you?
Yeah.
So what is a DevOps? I mean, what this model we call it? So this model we call it DevOps. That's all. So as part of the DevOps, what you have to do? You have to work with the platform also. SOA means a service-oriented architecture. Web server like app server, web server, database server. These are the services, right? We call it service-oriented architecture. It's popular in the browser-based applications.
So guys, a new model which will help you to reduce the cost for the development, cost for running the software, which will help you to reduce the release cycles, which will help you to improve the quality of the software. That process we call it a DevOps. How to do that, that's a different things which I'll discuss, but at least little bit of starting areas you got it. Make sense, all of you? How many of you understand? Can you please confirm in the chat box? Yeah. Okay, so now let's move on. So in order to practice, in order to understand more better way DevOps, you have to get an answer for this. What is container? What is microservices? The spelling mistake, by the way, please ignore it. I'll correct it. What is DevOps? What is CI/CD? What is SRE? What is a DevSecOps? You need to understand all these things. So now we understand that, okay, all the best practices, best processes, all the right mindset, right culture, right tool set, we club it together and we'll have to implement the DevOps. But what is a roadblock here in order to implement the DevOps? You know, one of the most challenging thing what you have in the DevOps is multiple team. Yes, multiple teams. If you look at the software development team, earlier we had architect team, then development team, then QA team, operations team, manager, network team, database team. So many teams we had, and we were dealing with a team. I said team, mind it. I said team. So there is a one objective, one software, but to address that software, there's a multiple teams. So when you have a multiple teams, you will have a multiple tools, multiple process, multiple mindset, multiple culture, multiple practices. That will delay your process. That will delay multiple team, multiple tools, multiple culture, multiple mindset, multiple processes, multiple practices, multiple SDLC phases. So if you integrate together, then only you will get a project, right? Product. So here we have a complex integrations. Multiple teams, they are having lots of challenges working with each other. And when you have a multiple teams working together, you will tend to delay the things because integration issues are there. Okay, multiple teams are there and they all have to work with each other, integrate with each other to deliver the product. You see that multiple teams. We do have a multiple tools also. For each and every problems, we have a different tools. So multiple tools are also there, and integrating all these tools is one of the challenges again. Multiple SDLC phases also, development phase, testing phase, design phase. And how do we integrate all these things? Because product you will get it only if you complete all the phases. So how do you integrate it? So this is a challenge, guys, what I'm trying to show you. This is a so how do we, there is a challenge of integrations. There are multiple teams, multiple tools, multiple phases, multiple process, multiple techniques, all these things. How do we integrate it? How can we get the quality release out of it, immediate release out of it, and cost reduction? So that is where, see here, this is a good slide actually. In Agile, what we did, we brought it together, the two people, development and testing team. But you know what? In DevOps approach, you have to brought it all teams together. So in a DevOps, everyone have to come together. That means architect, development, and testing and operations. Everyone have to come together, and from that time, you will call everyone as a DevOps team. Not like a dev, not like a QA. If I ask you what you are doing, so if you say, hey, I'm a developer, that means you are not in a DevOps culture. But if you say I'm a DevOps engineer,
and I'm doing a coding for that software development, then I think it's the right approach, right mindset. So mind it here, in a DevOps, you have to brought all the stakeholders for that particular projects together under one umbrella, under one team. How? That is the different discussions, but you have to brought it. So I'll tell you one thing which I'm changing your mindset. And that is, many people, they say we are hiring the DevOps engineer. We have a development team, we have a testing team, and we are hiring a DevOps engineer. So this is a conflict. This is against the definition itself. This is in practice. You also thought, right? Okay, let's go through the training of DevOps, and we will become a DevOps engineer, and we will work with the development and testing. Have you thought about something similar? All of you? Yeah, so that's a wrong mindset actually. DevOps means, what? DevOps means there is no multiple team. DevOps means there is one team. There is one team. And this team will do the coding for the product. So please hear me out. This key team will do the coding for the feature in the product. Same team will do the test, write a code for testing the product. And the same team will write a code for CI/CD operations, infrastructure, and blah, blah, blah. That means this team will do the only coding. What coding? That is not a problem. That's not a things. So this team will work together. So DevOps team is like a one team, may perform in different roles and responsibility, but there's one team. So if some organization is practicing saying that, hey, I need to hire a DevOps engineer and they'll take care of my operation. Sometimes they'll say operation, and sometimes they'll say, okay, pre-production. So that's not a right implementation of the DevOps has happened over the period of time. Are you understanding what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So this is a very important things. So DevOps, no matter what role you are performing, you'll be part of one team, and that team is called DevOps. And as part of it, I am coding for the function of the software. Still, I'll be called a DevOps. I'm coding for the testing of the function of the software. I am a DevOps. I'm coding for infra CI/CD integration operations, SRE, for building and running the software, and I'm a DevOps. So what is the important thing? So there are two important things I would like to stress here. One thing, software organization should have, there is only one team for one product, and that's called DevOps team. And this team will be responsible for everything: coding for software, coding for the testing the software, and coding for operation of the software. And for that, what you need to do, tell me. So I'm asking a question, let me put it up across. If I say I need to have a DevOps team which will do something like this, so what is the first important things you want to get implemented in the organization or project? What is the first thing?
In the mindset, the culture
Yes.
of adopting this.
So first is mindset. Change the mindset. If I say, let's say I'm naming, or if some of you, Sandeep, what is the role you are playing so far in your organizations? Or let's say Suresh, what is the role you are playing right now in your organization?
Cloud security architect.
I'm not able to hear you, but let's put it up in this way, generic way. Let's say you are a developer, and I'll ask you, hey, can you write a code for testing the software? If you say yes, then you are changing the mindset. I'll ask you, testing team, can you write a coding for the software now? See, whether you know or not know, that's a different thing. But what I want to hear from you is, are you ready for it or not? Learnings can be done offline also, later also. So here, first thing, you need to change the mindset. I'll tell you, many of you have asked this question. Rajesh, I want to become a DevOps engineer, and maybe I'm having 5 years of experience, and I want to, after this training, I want to go for and get the one of the highest paying job, but I hate coding actually. See that this is the conflict in your statement. First thing you said, software engineer. That means you are supposed to code. Second thing you said, you hate coding. So how can you become a software engineer? Third thing you said, you want to get paid for the roles which is highest in the market without doing anything. Are you thinking it's a conflict of interest? Change your mindset first. Change your mindset. Say from today only, I am ready for coding. That's the first statement. See, whether you know or not know, I'm not bothering too much. Because if you don't know, I can teach you in 10 days. But if you say, I don't want to do the coding, then what to do? Are you thinking the problem? Are you getting the problem for the companies also? All of you?
Yes.
Yes. So
Yeah.
if you say, so change your mindset. I'm ready for everything, provided given a proper guidance, training, culture. So everyone in the team, they will say, hey, I'm ready. I'm doing or not, that's a different thing. I'm ready. My mindset is changed. I can write, provide an opportunity. I can write a code for infrastructure also. I can write a code for CI also. I can write a code for CD also. I can, CD means CI, CD means continuous integration and delivery. I'll discuss about it. I can write a code for integration also. I can write code for infrastructure, operations, security also. I can write for the code for the testing, and I can write a code for the function of the software. First, change your mindset. Change your mindset. If you change your mindset today, we have 18 people, and the next 4 to 5 months, we are a team actually. So if each one of you will change the mindset, as a team, the culture will be built for the coding. Okay, that as a team, the culture will be built for the coding, and we'll start working together. Maybe some of you write a coding in Ansible, some of you write a coding in Terraform, some of you write a coding in Jenkins, some of you write a coding in testing tool like Selenium, and some of you write a coding for the software in Python or Java. But culture will be built for the coding, for the DevOps. So if you want to transform, change your mindset, step number 1, that will change the culture within your team. So if everyone changes, that will build the culture within a team, and that's where the magic will start happening. Magic will start happening. So are you understanding my intention, what I'm trying to say, where the changes has to be done? Can you please confirm in the chat box how many of you are getting it?
So Rajesh, I have a question here. We need to know coding for this, is it? That's how it is. I mean,
Coding for it,
in
but
some.
which tool depends on that. See, you should be saying I'm ready, but whether the coding will be done for the product or testing the product or infrastructure, again, as a team will decide.
Mhm.
Okay, and that's the reason if you have noticed actually, as part of my DevOps certification program or DevOps certified professional program, I am adding the Python also, that can be used for the coding for the product. I have added Selenium also. that coding will be used for the testing the product. And I have added Ansible and Terraform also, which will help you to write a code for the infrastructure. I have added Jenkins also, which will help you to write a code for the pipeline. Are you getting all this stuff?
Yeah. Rajesh, one question here is, when we talk about coding, these are all related to the certain tools, right? There is a separate team like developers, they are completely working on the programming side, like Java or Python. So I'm a bit confused about this programming side and coding related to the tools which we are talking about.
No, so I said very simple. This slide, I am on it right now. See here. You are a DevOps engineer if you say I'm coding for the function. So the function means features, the one which you're talking about. Dev team. First is dev team, second is QA team, third is the operation and infrastructure team. But you are a DevOps team. You should be ready for everywhere. Now you will say, Rajesh, how can you say like you are coding? How can I code for the software? How can I code for the software? You are talking like, something very strange. So let me give you the reason and you decide. What I said, if you want to become a DevOps, if you want to transform into the DevOps, many things you have to transform. So let's go to that place. So what is the architecture I am talking about? Can you please name it out?
Microservices.
Microservices. Let me put it up. Let me give you the logic and you decide whether you are ready for coding or not. So guys, earlier what used to happen, there is one software, and in that particular software there's hundreds of features are there. So these all are features depicting on the features. These all are features. Okay, so this is one feature, these are two feature. Now how many total teams required for this? Let's say 50 people. Sorry, I'm not able to draw properly, just to, because I understood your question, so I am trying to answer in a different way. So there's a 50 people are working together as part of the development of the software. Okay, and then how many months you are taking? 1 month. What is the duration of the build time for all the products? Let's say 1 hour. Testing time, let's say 5 hours. Release time, let's say 1 hour. Let's say make it 5 hours. That means your building, testing and development time itself is a 24 hours or something like that, or maybe 12 hours or something like that. So this is a monolithic or SOA based architecture. But what I'll keep it, this one separate, this one separate. And how many lines of code we had? Let's say 1 lakh lines of code you had it. So this you separate, 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 this are separate. Now these all, earlier it was a service, now it's become a microservice. Now I'll ask you simple thing. Which technology is written? Python. This is Java. This is Ruby. This is Node. How many lines of code you have? Let's say 5,000 lines of code. Which are the functions they are doing? CRUD, create, read, update and delete of this function. So tell me one simple thing I'm asking. See, you are a software engineer. You are a software engineer. Can't you manage 5,000 lines of code only in your lifetime? Alone. And can't you manage the 4 functions in your lifetime? CRUD, read, update, delete. Then you say, Rajesh, I don't know Java. No problem. You can use any language in the microservices. This is microservice: Python, Java, Ruby, PHP, any language. But I just need this functionality. Only 5,000 lines of code in your lifetime. And can't you plan for this functionality? Can't you code for it? Can't you test for it? Only 4 functions. And can't you deploy yourself with some of the tools, which toolset which I'll give you, Kubernetes and Docker, within a second, which will deploy. Can't, for managing this, do you need too many people, too many teams? Tell me. Are you understanding what I'm trying to say, all of you?
Yeah.
Tell me, you're a software engineer, and I'm giving you your own preference of language. I'm giving you only 5,000 lines of code and only 4 feature. Can't you manage it? Yes, you can manage it. So that's what I'm saying. The moment you change your mindset, then only the team's culture will change. First rule, change your mindset. Team culture will change, and then we'll start talking about the architecture change, tool set, platform change, automation, this, that, blah, blah. Things will come only only if your teams are ready for adopting the new practices. So this is the real DevOps actually. See, in the industry, if you go to the organizations, many people say they have implemented DevOps. Actually, they are not a DevOps. DevOps, they are not a DevOps, because the moment you have a development team, QA team, IT team, architect team, operations team, that means, and then DevOps team, that means they are not a DevOps. They are following the wrong practices of DevOps. That's the reality. Even 80% of the organization follow the wrong practices of DevOps because of lack of initiative, lack of awareness, lack of initiative to change. They don't want to change. They simply say I'm a DevOps, but they don't want to change actually. So yes, that is important. So I repeat one more time. We have a certain challenges which we have inherited from where? When we say we, means as a software engineers, okay, and software organizations. So we have a certain challenges which we have inherited from where? Waterfall model on agile. We have to get rid of those stuff. Why? Because world has changed. You are running a software in a container. People are accessing the software in the app. We as a software engineers, we have to do quality release in the immediate feedback, and reduction in the cost and development and all stuff like that. So you have to change actually. And in order to bring the changes, first you change yourself. And then the moment you change yourself, then team's culture will change. And then we'll talk about what need to be done and what need not to be done. So are you ready for change, guys, all of you? Let me ask you. And I want verbal confirmation from each one of you. Are you ready for the change?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. So guys, please don't ask me this question, because I got these questions multiple times. People are asking, Rajesh, I don't like coding. I don't want to do the coding, but still I want to become a DevOps engineer, because it's very conflict statement. It's very difficult to answer this question actually. So yes, don't get scared too much. The coding, I just said no. Nowadays, learning the coding is just a fun. Learning the coding is just a fun. So nowadays, coding is just a few hours of training. Trust me, only few hours of training in a right way. The only thing people don't do that because of their mindset is they have accepted the mindset. I don't want to code. No matter what you will do, I don't want to code. That is a problem. So this is the one. Okay, so yes, so in Agile, what we did, we brought it the development and QA people together. But in DevOps, what we'll do, we'll put it that all the engineering team, DevOps and QA plus operations team together. Okay, so now DevOps will bring together in one team. Dev means QA and development both. Okay, Dev means now QA and development, and plus operations team under one umbrella, and then we call it a DevOps. But you know what, guys? Many people thinks, hey, dev and operations make it together, it's become a DevOps, but actually it's not. So many people say, please understand that there's a very fundamental difference. Many people say, hey, you'll become a DevOps when you implement the tools, DevOps tools, and every tools nowadays there. You go to the Google, okay, and name it one tool and tell me that that tool has not mentioned the DevOps keyword. That means every tool is marketed with a DevOps solution. Every tool. So just implementing the tool, you are not performing a DevOps. DevOps is not only full automation. DevOps not like you got every access that you go become a DevOps guy. No. And DevOps is not a single team. As I said, DevOps is a whole team, but not single team. As I said, no, there is a dev team, there is a QA team, there is an operations team, there is a all teams, and then there is a DevOps team. That's not a DevOps actually. So DevOps is all about how you communicate with each other. See, we had a gap. Gap is our release used to be delay, costly, and many issues used to happen. So we want to fill that gap. Communication is the best one. So DevOps is all about the communication, how effectively we can communicate with each other, no matter what kind of coding you are doing. You are doing the coding for the code product, or testing the product, or operation or infrastructure. No matter what coding you are doing, I should be able to communicate very effectively and each other directly. We should understand each other. We should integrate with each other, and we should build the relationship. The moment within a team you have this kind of culture where each one of us can communicate each other, understand each other, integrate each other, and build the relationship, then rest of the things automatically will happen. So DevOps is not a new technology or a product. It's a approach. It's a culture. Mind it. It's an approach. It's a culture of software development. How can we work together as a team? One team. No matter what I'm doing for coding for the product, or testing the product, or operation, no matter what I'm doing, is a team working together to solve the problem and effectively communicate, understand each other, integrate, and relationship. Are you understanding, all of you?
Yes, Raj.
So guys, this is the DevOps. Now the next questions you will say, Rajesh, I have changed my mindset. Wonderful. Then each one of us, all teams will come back and together and say, hey, we are ready to change our culture. So each one of you have changed the mindset. Culture automatically of the team will change. Now we are not a multiple team. We are united. We become one team now. Earlier there was one objective, and there were multiple teams fighting for that objective, and we were fighting and blaming each other. Actually, we were fighting more, working less. Now once we become a team, we will work better way. Integrated communications between us will be sorted out in a better way. And then we'll say, okay, let's do one thing. As a team, we'll sit together in one room and say, hey, can we do one thing? We want to work together, but can we change the architecture? Because architecture is old, platform is old, process is old, practices is old, techniques are old. Can we change this, all these things also? So once you have a team culture in place, right culture in place, then you can change everything. And that is what DevOps wants. DevOps want transformation in everything. They want to change your runtime environment, they want to change the architecture, they want to change the practices, they want you to change the process, because those practices which you've been following for last 10 years, which was designed for agile and waterfall model, not for the new challenges. That is where. So now the question you will ask me, how can we bring this automation in place? So there's so many things which we can discuss, but one thing I want to discuss, and that is, how can you bring that change? And I'll go back to the point to point, not complicated these discussions. And few things I wanted to tell you, and that is, just give me 2 seconds. I'll want some slides actually. So when you are ready for all that stuff, then you try to, I'm trying to look at, okay, it's not here actually. Got it. Then try to build the CI/CD concept. What is CI? So when you're ready for this, then you will move on to the implementation phase. So in order to implement the DevOps, you have to change a lot, which I have been discussing at a high level, but you have to change the integration also. So here we have multiple teams in the software project. Implementation, I'm talking about the implementation. Multiple teams, okay, multiple phases. These are the phases. Multiple teams we have, multiple tools we have, Look at this. These are the tools. I'm giving you some idea about it. Collaboration tools, planning tools, issue tracking tools, monitoring tools, CI tools, configuration management tools, source code management tools, development tools, CI tools, CD tools, repo management tools, packaging management tools, build tools. These are the so many tools we have. So when you're ready for change, the question you should ask, how to integrate in a team meeting. All of us will sit together after changing the mindset and culture. Then all of us will ask how to integrate all SDLC phases automatically minded. That means we should not do more than 3 work. One work, coding for the software. Second work, coding for the testing the software. Third work, coding for the CI/CD operations, infrastructure, blah blah blah. So here, how to integrate everything automatically, how to integrate all the tools automatically, how to integrate all the phases automatically, how to integrate all the tools and team automatically. And that is where you should try to do this. So implementation side, first you try to set up a continuous integration. Agile, I'm assuming all of you, your projects have it. So Agile means code, automated build, automated integration called Agile development. But CI, we call it when we integrate automated testing also. Delivery, we call it automated release also. Deployment, we call it when you add automated deployment also. Things which operates everything from Agile development to the continuous deployment, it's called DevOps. That means if you want to change the, if you want to bring the transformation for the DevOps in your organization, then first change your mindset, second change the team culture, third bringing great automation in place and implementing the Agile development, CI, CD, and then automatically you'll transform into the DevOps. Are you understanding, all of you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is a CI? So see here, this image I developed I think 5-6 years before actually. Okay, and something similar image you have on the internet also. So many different these tools will change actually, some different colors and all. So what is CI? So see, these are the phases we do. No matter which tools you are using it in your project, but these all are integrated. See here, this arrow is important. 20 years before also we were doing all this thing, but what is the difference that time and this time? Integration, communication, understanding, team structure. So we all are doing. So here everything should be done automatically. There should not be any manual interventions between this build to unit testing to quality to the packaging to the deployment to acceptance testing. Everything should be automated if you really want to implement the DevOps. This is called CI/CD. Now there is a difference between delivery and deployment. See this image. So I'll put it in this way. See, CI allows you to fail. CI allows you to fail. That means if CI is failing, then you can repeat. That's not a problem. So what is the delivery things? So delivery means, let's say if my manager is coming to me and saying that, Rajesh, morning builds can you deploy to the production? He's asking me, and if I say yes, that means what? I said yes because of my morning build is past CI. That's the reason I said yes. That means I'm ready for delivery. That means successful CI will make the delivery process enabled. I repeat, successful CI will make a delivery process enabled. But if I say no, that means I have not reached to the delivery stage of the project, still at the CI stage. But then you'll ask, what is the deployments? So in a deployment, my manager will not come and ask me. Simply, if CI is passing, deploying to the production. You see that in the delivery, you have a manual work. In a deployment, there's no. So everything is automated. That means the moment the coding has been done, automatically acceptance testing, automatically integration testing, automatically acceptance testing, and here then production. No manual work. Then you'll say, what is my job then? I told you, you are supposed to write a code for the development. You are supposed to write a code for integration testing, and you are supposed to write a code for the infrastructure. Probably, if I'm not wrong, you are focusing more on the coding for the infrastructure, CI/CD operations and stuff like that. And then you are planning for becoming a DevOps. Am I making sense here, all of you?
Yeah.
Yes. So this is something which we need to understand. This is something which we need to understand. So guys, if you really want to become a DevOps engineer, this is the kind of, I'm summing up. If you really want to become a DevOps engineer, first change each one of your mindset. Okay, remember that there is an objective for organizations. And I told you, they want to reduce the release cycles, feedback mechanism. They want to change the quality. They want to improve the quality. They want to reduce the development cost also, and they want to reduce the running cost also. And they, all this objective, they transfer to software engineers, us. So what do we do in this case? Then we'll say, okay, no problem, we'll change. We will change, then only you can bring the cost down. We will change, then only you can improve the quality of the software. We will change, then only you will change the automation, you will bring the automation in place. So we are ready to change. We have to change ourselves. Then culture will be built accordingly. We'll become one team instead of multiple team. And then once we become a one team, we'll find out together how do we architect the better way, how do we run the software better way, how do we get the feedback, how do we automate everything, and all stuff like that. All the ideas will start popping around automatically. And then we'll become a DevOps engineer. Don't need to scared everything. No one is going to give you all the work which you are thinking. Okay, you will get the work as per your capabilities only, but you have to be willing to work with a different team, different things, and learning process anyways is very simple nowadays. So like that. Are you understanding, all of you?
Rajesh, can you once again tell about the difference between delivery and deployment?
Yeah, so here everything has to be automated as part of the DevOps. So here, if that after the acceptance testing, manual deployment is happening to the production, that's called delivery. But if after the acceptance
failing, is it failing, then we call it as a delivery, or like intentionally
no.
we need
CI, no. Only CI allows you to fail, and then you can build, you can fail, testing can fail. So it's a CI. But delivery is a manual trigger. That means you have a acceptance testing passes, and after that production is a manual work. That means, that's what I said. No, my manager is asking me, can you? It's a manual work, so I'll do that. But here in the second case, deployment, no one is asking no one. It's extreme state of automation. That means the moment code is committed, application testing is done automatically, integration test done is automatically, acceptance test is done automatically, and move to the production. If all passes, move to the production. If one fail, repeat the process. Make sense?
So the manual trigger is something like design, as per design.
Yes. Make sense, all of you? Okay, so now guys, this is the DevOps. Now I'll show you some of the slides for the SRE also. So now then you'll say, Rajesh, what is SRE? So SRE is a discussion is pending. In detail, we'll discuss in the SRE sessions we will have after the DevOps. but at a high level, I want to give it to you. See here. See here. So right now, when I say development team, that means development and QA together. We call it engineering team. So engineering team, primarily in the waterfall model or SOA model, I'm talking about, not the DevOps model. Okay. In the waterfall model, SOA model, development teams will take agile model, design, development, testing, and acceptance. Operations team will do the support, maintenance, and capacity. But here we have SRE. So here, see, I'll put it in simple way. In DevOps, if you remember, look at this here. See here, this is a good image. How do we transform the DevOps? So what we did, development team, which include development and testing, and operations team, we put it up together now, and we call it a DevOps. Agree with me? So there is only one team, no two teams. Agree with me?
Yeah.
I was
This
discussing
conference
about
will now be recorded.
DevOps. So in a DevOps, you have to make it one team actually. Bring it everyone together, Dev and Ops. Okay. So everyone you have to bring it together. Are you understanding, all of you?
Yeah.
Hello? But
So,
you know
so
what?
Rajesh, sorry,
You know
question
what?
here.
Tell me.
Yeah, is it the? I mean, how do we ask questions while the session is on or at the end of the session?
No. You can ask in between only.
Okay. So I have a question now, Rajesh. So is this something like we have a typical Scrum team, right? So example, say there's a banking app that we are working on. There are 10 features planned to be released this year, and there are 10 teams on it, 10 Scrum teams. So each of this team already has the developer and the QA and I think so. An addition of a resource who can also write code for deployments and thing is that the right formation of a DevOps team, or is it like all the developers and every
I'll
member
put
in the
it
team needs?
again.
Yeah.
I'm stressing this point. In agile practices, you have two teams together working. Which team? Development and QA.
Hmm.
Okay, that
Yeah.
things we call it a development team. Okay, our operations teams were separate team. In DevOps, what we did, we merged this operations team and development team and call it a DevOps team. So there's only one culture, one mindset, one team, one process, all integration in place, and only one team for everything. Responsibilities
This
lies with not.
Okay. So this 10 example I told you of 10 different teams. So assume those 10 teams become DevOps teams, right? So they'll have their own thing. So there's no eventual separate integration or other team that looks into the final deployment and all. These
Yes,
10
one.
teams will be able to manage it themselves independently.
Yes, one objective, one team. There should not be two teams, three teams.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, now this is a DevOps team. But you know what, guys? What has happened? DevOps is very, it's give you lots of lousy picture actually. That means it's very good to have it. It's very dream to have for every organization, because DevOps will bring lots of benefits, but implementation is very difficult. And that implementation is like this. Same thing which I'll ask you, can you do the coding for everything? You say no. That's a mindset problem. You'll say no, I'll only do the coding or testing or operations. So it was having lots of challenges implementing the DevOps for the team actually. Real DevOps, very few team have implemented. Very few team have implemented the real DevOps. Then what? Then Google realized this one, and they said, let's do one thing. Let's not directly move to the DevOps, because DevOps allow you to become one team suddenly, and lots of mindset and cultural changes has to happen, and which people are not accepting it. Because let's say I'll put it in this way: someone is working from last 10 years in testing team, Suddenly I'll ask him to become a DevOps team. That means do everything. Will you accept it? It's very difficult to digest. So this many initiative got failed for the many of the organization. So what to do in this case? Then Google suggested do one thing, don't do DevOps immediately, do the SRE concept, bring the SRE concept. So what SRE concept is? So this is the concept earlier they were having. Look at this very carefully. So they were having a development team and an ops team, and they were working in an isolated environment. So what Google said, let's do one thing, transform the operations team to SRE team. Then people said, okay, but what? I mean, what you are trying to do? So Google said, listen, transform the SRE team to operations team, operations team to SRE team, and SRE team will involve, not do, involve with the development team at the design, development, and acceptance testing. And same time, development team will be involved, not a do. Development team will be involved during the delivery, support, and capacity planning. So they will help each other. So closure integrations will be built in the next 2 to 3 years. And once the closure integration is built, communication is made, relationship is established, trust is set, then you can move to the DevOps. That means if they are already working from last many years with each other, so then you can make it as a DevOps team. So SRE is what? So SRE has come from operations to SRE with a few different mindset. That means you don't have to work for the developers development, but you may have to work with them. Are you understanding the keywords which I'm changing here? Hello?
Yes.
So SRE is a team which have inherited from operations team. So now I'll put it in this way. Let's say you are a ops team. Okay, you are an ops team. Let's say Gulam, you are an ops team, and I'll ask you one thing. Hey, can you work with the development team for design, development, accepting? I said work with, not work for them. Okay, work with, that means whatever they are doing, just be aware of it. So same changes you can bring in your production also. So operations team, can I ask you, do you want to work with the development team? Not doing their work, but work with them. If you say yes, I'm ready for work with them. So that means you are SRE team. If you say no, I don't worry, I don't want to take care of all this, any of this initiative what development is doing, I just want the product to be delivered, that's all. So you are still SRE team. That's all. Many small difference between the ops team and SRE team. So see here, this image, this is a DevOps team doing everything. Look at this. And development team, in this development separate and SRE team separate and doing separate work, but some point of the time they are integrating with each other. So Google suggests instead of harsh migration, you do the slow migration. Yeah. Understood that? All of you?
Yeah.
So this is the SRE team actually. So now see here, DevOps, you have to merge these two teams together. In SRE, ops team will become a transform to SRE team, and SRE team will get additional responsibilities to work with development team very closely, and so on. Now next thing which I would like to show you, what is a DevSecOps process. So DevSecOps is nothing but first implement the DevOps, okay, and then after implementing the DevOps, now implement the security at each stage of the DevOps. I repeat, implement the security at each stage of DevOps. So I would like to show you only one image that will give you the clarity, and that image is this one. To see here, in order to do the DevOps, one team will do the planning only, coding also, build also, test also, release also, deploy also, operate and monitor. Only one team, remember, that's called DevOps team. But in a DevSecOps team, they got additional responsibility. What?
So during the plan, you have to do the threat modeling also and defining the coding standard also. During the coding, you have to analyze the code for security also. During the build, you have to do the vulnerability scan also. During the test, you have to do the penetration testing also. During the release, deploy, operate, and monitor, you have to do certain other things also related to security, and that thing can be called as a DevSecOps. So, which one you want to become? DevOps, doing everything, being a part of one team, doing everything. DevSecOps, being a part of one team, doing everything for the development plus security. Or are you ops transforming yourself to SRE? You decide. And if you want to be mastered in everything, I call it mastered in DevOps engineering, MDE. So guys, did you understand, all of you? What is this? What is the DevOps, all of you? All of you?
Yes.
This conference will now be recorded.
So I'll summarize all this discussion. DevOps is nothing new. We just want to change from the old challenges, software development challenges which we are experiencing from last 10 years in the new world. So for that, we have one team for everything now. Earlier we had a multiple team. That's the first thing. So one team for everything, one mindset, one culture, one process, one practices, all the tools integrated, all the phases integrated together. We are focusing only on the coding for the product, coding for the testing the product, and coding for the infrastructure operation and CI/CD. Nothing else. Implementing the CI, then CD, then CD, and this is called DevOps. So yes, and if you don't want to become a DevOps engineer, then, and if you are a ops already, so transform yourself into SRE. That's one thing. Maybe if you want to go for the extreme DevOps, that means DevSecOps, DevOps plus security together, and then you can get into that. So yes, there are so many roles available in the market for the DevOps engineer, SRE engineer, DevSecOps engineer. Depends on your organization policies and the job requirement. Now, see, whatever I taught you, it's about the real DevOps. But in the market, in the project, people are practicing their own form of DevOps, which they can call it anything, but call it a DevOps. So sometimes it's not aligned with what DevOps practices are, but still they call it a DevOps, and you have to get used to it. So nothing wrong in it. If they want to call themselves as a DevOps and doing nothing, that is also DevOps, you can say. So it's like that. So this is a DevOps.